Welcome to Book Buzz Reviews and Summaries. Book Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. Fear. It's that tight knot in your stomach, that whisper in your mind, that invisible barrier holding you back from the life you crave. But here's the truth no one tells you. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is a signal, a guide, and the doorway to your greatest growth. Every hesitation, every doubt, every "I can't" is just fear pointing toward your next breakthrough. Imagine living a life where fear no longer controls your choices, where it no longer dictates what you attempt, what you dream, or who you become. A life where fear is acknowledged, felt, and then stepped through, like a door into courage. That life is possible. That life is yours for the taking. You see, fear will never completely disappear. It will show up at every crossroads, every challenge, every opportunity. But here's the secret. Action dissolves fear. Small steps, deliberate choices, and relentless forward movement turn the trembling heart into a powerhouse of confidence and empowerment. Each time you act in spite of fear, you grow, not just a little, but exponentially. The path is simple but profound. Feel the fear, embrace it, and do it anyway. Expand your comfort zone. Reframe "I can't" into "I can learn to handle this." Take full responsibility for your life. Choose courage over hesitation, possibility over doubt. Every act of bravery compounds, transforming not just your life, but your relationships, your mindset, and the world around you. This is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about stepping forward, trembling or not, and claiming the life you were meant to live. The moment you act in spite of fear, you reclaim your power. You break the chains. You rise. So ask yourself, will you let fear run your life? Or will you feel it, face it, and do it anyway? Because the life you've been waiting for is waiting for you, right beyond the fear. Part 1. Understanding fear and its grip on your life. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff. Below you is uncertainty, perhaps even danger. But the vast expanse beyond holds freedom, opportunity, and growth. For most of us, we hesitate, we freeze. That hesitation, that is fear. And fear, my dear reader, is both our greatest challenge and our most potent teacher. In Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, I want you to understand one fundamental truth right away. Fear is not the enemy. Avoiding fear is. Fear, in fact, is universal. Every human being on this planet experiences it. It manifests in countless ways. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of making the wrong choice, fear of taking risks. And yet, most of us are taught, subtly or overtly, to run from it, to avoid it, to suppress it. Here's the paradox. The very thing we fear, failure, pain, uncertainty, is precisely the gateway to personal growth, self-mastery, and empowerment. When you refuse to face fear, it controls you. It becomes a silent puppet master, dictating your choices, your actions, and ultimately, the life you live. But what if you could change that relationship? What if fear became not a roadblock, but a compass? That's the message I want to impress upon you in this first part. Fear is inevitable, but living in fear is optional. We begin by exploring the 3 fundamental truths about fear. 1. Fear will never completely disappear. This may surprise you, but it's liberating. You don't need to eradicate fear. You need to learn to function in spite of it. The greats, the pioneers, the innovators, the heroes of history, they all felt fear. A difference is that they didn't let it stop them. Action dissolves fear. Fear thrives on inaction. When we hesitate, it grows, becoming a monster of imagination, rather than a reality. But action, any deliberate step forward, disarms fear. Taking small, consistent actions creates momentum. Each tiny victory chips away at the paralyzing grip fear holds over you. The degree to which you feel fear is proportional to your growth. Every time fear arises, it is signaling that you are about to expand your comfort zone. And here's the beautiful truth. The bigger the fear, the greater the potential for personal power. If your life feels safe, predictable, and small, fear may barely whisper to you. But when you reach for something that matters, your dreams, your authentic self, fear roars. And that roar is proof that you are alive, growing, and moving toward your purpose. Now, let's talk about the voice in your head. That incessant chatter that says, I can't, I'm not ready, I'll fail. These are not truths, they are illusions. They are learned patterns, often from childhood, that have convinced you that fear is a signal to stop. But it is not. Fear is merely an invitation. And here is the secret. You always have a choice: to let fear stop you, or to act anyway. I introduce what I call the 5 truths of fear, a framework that begins to shift your mindset from powerless to powerful. 1. The fear you feel is natural. Acknowledge it. Don't fight it. 2. You can learn to handle fear. Skills can be developed. Confidence can be built. 3. Action cures fear. Momentum is the antidote. 4. Every decision counts. Fear may whisper, but your courage responds. 5. You have the power to transform your life. Fear is a signal, not a stop sign. I also introduce the critical idea of taking responsibility for your life. Too many people live as victims of circumstance, blaming others, blaming luck, blaming the world. But fear often disguises itself as external obstacles. The moment you reclaim your power by acting in spite of fear, you take ownership. You become the author of your own life story. Here's a practical example. Imagine you have been offered a promotion that terrifies you. Your mind screams, I'm not ready. I'll fail. They'll see I'm not capable. Traditional thinking says, stay in your comfort zone. But when you apply the principles I lay out, acknowledge the fear, take deliberate action, and stretch yourself, you might stumble, yes, but you grow exponentially. Every fear faced is a step toward mastery. Finally, I remind you, fear is an ally, not an enemy. It signals growth, challenges stagnation, and fuels courage. The key is to stop waiting for fear to disappear and start learning to act despite it. In doing so, you unlock the one thing every human craves: empowerment, confidence, and freedom. Part 1 is about awakening your awareness. It's about naming fear, understanding it, and reframing it as the guiding force it truly is. The rest of the journey, transforming fear into power, creating lasting change, and living fully, will build on this foundation. So I ask you, will you wait for fear to vanish? Or will you step forward, trembling but unstoppable, and claim the life that is waiting for you? That, my friend, is the beginning of everything. Part 2. Tools to transform fear into power. Now that we've met fear face to face, it's time to take action. Awareness alone isn't enough. Fear is alive. It grows in the silence of inaction. Part 2 of this journey is about arming yourself with practical tools, methods, and mindset shifts that allow you to feel the fear and do it anyway. The first revelation you must embrace is this: you are stronger than you think. Most of us underestimate our capacity to handle life's challenges. Fear whispers, you can't cope, you're not ready, it's too risky. But every challenge you have survived up to this point proves otherwise. You have endured heartbreak, failure, and uncertainty, and you are still here. That resilience is your hidden weapon. 1. The power of positive action. Fear thrives on hesitation. It multiplies when we overanalyze, overthink, or procrastinate. The antidote? Immediate, deliberate action. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be grand. What matters is movement. Take a small step toward what frightens you. Each step, no matter how tiny, chips away at the fortress of fear. Imagine standing in front of a room full of strangers to give a speech. Your body shakes, your heart races, your mind screams, "Don't do it." Now, picture yourself walking to the podium, trembling, but moving forward anyway. The fear doesn't vanish, but it loses its power. Every action you take, despite fear, builds confidence, momentum, and courage. Replacing the can't mindset with I can learn. A critical shift is required in your thinking. Fear often disguises itself as doubt. You tell yourself, I can't handle this. I propose a radical reframing. Replace I can't with I can learn to handle it. This is subtle but transformative. Suddenly, fear becomes a teacher rather than a tyrant. You may stumble, you may fail, but you are capable of learning, adapting, and growing. Every challenge faced becomes a lesson, every setback a stepping stone. This mindset converts fear into a lifelong ally rather than a prison guard. Expanding your comfort zone. Here's a truth few embrace. Your comfort zone is a cage, and fear is the key. Growth happens when you stretch beyond what feels safe. This doesn't mean recklessness. It means deliberate, thoughtful expansion. Try something that scares you a little every day. Speak up when you want to stay silent. Apply for that job that intimidates you. Make that call you've been avoiding. Each time you act in spite of fear, the comfort zone grows. Over time, what once felt impossible becomes normal. And the more your comfort zone expands, the smaller fear seems in comparison to your power. Handling negative thinking. Fear often wears the mask of negative self-talk. I'm not good enough. I'll fail. They'll judge me. These thoughts are not truths. They are habits. To regain power, you must interrupt these automatic patterns. Techniques like affirmations, visualization, and conscious reframing are tools to reclaim your mind. For example, before a daunting task, repeat to yourself, I may be afraid, but I can handle this. I may stumble, but I will learn. Visualize success, not as a guarantee, but as a possibility you are willing to create. The mind, like fear, responds to action. Practice thinking courageously until it becomes a default. 5. Moving from dependence to responsibility. Fear grows when we give away our power, blaming circumstances, other people, or luck. One of the most liberating tools is taking full responsibility for your life. Own your choices, own your actions, and own the results. When you act in spite of fear, you reclaim control. You shift from being a passive victim to an active creator. Every choice you make is a declaration. I will not be ruled by fear. And as you do, your confidence compounds, creating a self-sustaining cycle of courage. The 3 types of fear. By now, you may notice that fear isn't one size fits all. I categorize it into 3 types. External fears, fear of what others might do or think. Internal fears, fear of your own abilities, choices, or emotions. Existential fears, fear of life itself, the unknown, mortality, or purpose. Each type requires slightly different strategies, but the principle remains: action plus responsibility plus mindset shift. Face it directly, engage it, learn from it, move beyond it. Choosing empowerment every time. Finally, the ultimate tool is choice. You always have a choice. Retreat into fear or step forward into power. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's action in the presence of fear. And the more you practice, the easier this choice becomes. It eventually becomes a habit, a lifestyle, a default setting for your life. Part 2 is the bridge. Awareness without action is meaningless. Understanding fear without applying these tools is like knowing a treasure exists but never digging for it. These tools empower you to dig, to confront, to expand, to rise. In Part 3, we will explore the deeper transformation, how consistently acting in spite of fear changes not just your choices, but your identity, your relationships, and your life trajectory. You will see fear as a companion on the journey rather than a barrier. And by the end, fear will no longer intimidate you, it will inspire you. Part 3, Living Fearlessly, Transformation Through Action. Welcome to the culmination of our journey. By now, you've faced fear, understood it, and learned practical tools to act despite it. Part 3 is about transformation, not just occasional courage, but a life lived fully, deliberately, and fearlessly. This is where theory becomes reality, and your life begins to reflect the power you've been cultivating. 1. The empowerment of choice. At the heart of fearless living is choice. Every day, every moment, fear will appear, whispering doubt, uncertainty, and hesitation. But with every choice you make, to act, to stretch, to step forward, you claim power over your life. This is the secret. Fear is inevitable, but your response is optional. When you act in spite of fear, a profound shift occurs. You begin to see yourself not as a victim of circumstance, but as a creator of reality. Each courageous act compounds, reinforcing the belief that you can handle whatever life throws at you. This is no small thing. It is the essence of personal empowerment. 2. The fearless mindset. Living fearlessly is not about being fearless in the literal sense. Fear will still appear, but the fearless mindset allows you to hold fear in one hand while moving forward with the other. Key aspects of this mindset include self-trust, believing in your ability to handle challenges, setbacks, and uncertainty. Commitment to growth, viewing fear as a signal that you are expanding, learning, and evolving. Action over avoidance, choosing forward movement over stagnation, no matter how small the step. Ownership of your life, recognizing that you are the architect of your destiny, responsible for your choices, and capable of extraordinary transformation. This mindset turns fear from a wall into a doorway, a signpost pointing to where your greatest growth awaits. Transforming relationships through courage. Fear does not only affect personal growth, it shapes relationships. Many people fear conflict, rejection, or being misunderstood, and so they shrink, hide, or conform. Fearless living transforms this dynamic. When you act despite fear, you communicate authenticity and integrity. You express your true self, voice your opinions, and set healthy boundaries. You no longer allow fear to dictate your interactions. And as a result, relationships deepen, connections strengthen, and the people around you respond not to a shadow of hesitation, but to your full presence and courage. The ripple effect of courage. Courage is contagious. Every time you act in spite of fear, you send a silent message to those around you. If I can face this, you can face yours. Fearless living inspires others to step out of their own shadows. Your courage creates momentum, not just in your life, but in the lives of everyone you touch, embracing uncertainty. Life is unpredictable. Fear often arises when we cling to the illusion of certainty. But fearless living embraces uncertainty as the canvas for possibility. Every unknown is a chance to grow, to discover, and to create. By leaning into uncertainty rather than avoiding it, you unlock opportunity that fear would otherwise have kept hidden. Moving from temporary courage to permanent power. The ultimate goal is not isolated acts of bravery, it is permanent personal power. This comes from consistent practice. Feeling fear, acknowledging it, and acting anyway. Expanding your comfort zone incrementally and repeatedly. Replacing negative self-talk with empowering affirmations. Taking full responsibility for your life, choices, and outcomes. Over time, fear no longer controls your decisions. It becomes a companion that signals growth, challenge, and transformation. You are no longer reacting. You are choosing, creating, and thriving. The joy and freedom of fearless living. When you fully integrate these principles, life changes. You discover freedom. Freedom from the paralysis of fear, the need for approval, and the constraints of self-doubt. Confidence. Confidence not based on external validation, but on inner certainty and proven capability. Joy. Joy from embracing life fully, from pursuing dreams, taking risks, and knowing you are living authentically. This is the ultimate promise of Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, a life transformed from hesitation to action, from doubt to power, from fear to freedom. 3 takeaways from the book. Takeaway 1. Fear is inevitable. Action is optional, but action is power. Fear is not a flaw. It's a signal that you're stepping into growth. The key isn't to eliminate fear, it's to move despite it. Every time you act in spite of fear, you chip away at doubt, expand your confidence, and claim control over your life. Momentum builds courage, and courage builds your life. Action transforms fear from a barrier into a stepping stone. Takeaway 2. I can't is a lie. Replace it with I can learn. Your mind will scream, you can't handle this. That is fear disguised as truth. The moment you reframe it to, I can learn to handle this, you turn fear into opportunity. Every challenge becomes a lesson. Every setback a stepping stone. Growth, mastery, and empowerment are not reserved for the fearless. They are earned by those willing to act, stumble, and rise anyway. Takeaway 3. Courage is a habit, not a feeling. Fearless living is not the absence of fear, it's deliberate action in the presence of fear. By consistently choosing to act, take responsibility, and expand your comfort zone, courage becomes your default. This habit transforms your life. Your relationships deepen, your confidence multiplies, and your dreams no longer wait. Step after step, choice after choice, you become unstoppable. Thanks for listening to Book Buzz Reviews and Summaries.